Now let's talk about how you structure your response in speaking number one. So the structure of your response should always have an introduction, an argument number one, and also details and examples that support this argument one, an argument two with details and examples to support this argument, and sometimes you might have an argument three. It's not a requirement. You can have it, you cannot have it. Actually, most oftenly, it's easier not to have one. It's easy to have just argument number one and number two and avoid the argument number three. But sometimes you have some troubles with details and examples and you have some time left. So this is when it comes for argument number three. You can just add another argument and then you save some time on details and examples. But this is not necessary. And then it comes for a conclusion. You must have a conclusion. So out of these 5 parts, it's completely necessary to have an introduction, 2 arguments, and a conclusion. And if you have some time left, you can also add an argument number 3. So let's talk about cliches now. So those phrases that you need to learn by heart today, and then every time you have a speaking number 1, you just say them. You don't have to try to make up something or improvise. You already have them in your head. So every time from now on, when you see a speaking number 1, you're gonna just tell those memorized phrases. And they're gonna save you a lot of energy, okay? So we're gonna learn them by heart today and then use them every time. So we will have an introduction, 2 arguments, and a conclusion. It's our classical plan. So for the introduction, we have 2 goals. The first one is to rephrase the question. We need to tell the listener what we're going to talk about. And then also another goal is to say what we think, what is our opinion. So we have 2 goals, rephrase a question and say our opinion. In order to do both of these goals in a very short time, in just 1 sentence, we use this phrase and you need to memorize it by heart. If you ask me about, and here in the blank we put the topic from the question, I would choose, and here in the blank we put our opinion. If you ask me about my favorite technology as a student, I would choose a laptop. So this is an ideal introduction because it does 2 things that is required. It rephrases the question and it gives your opinion. So stick to that. It's also super short, so it's a good phrase because it's short. You can save some time by just saying it from your memory. So learn it by heart. Then it comes to the argument number 1. So we say first, and then in the blank, we need to say what is our argument number 1. First, I love my laptop because it gives me a constant access to the internet. Yeah? First, internet. So we need to tell them what is our first topic sentence, what is our first topic, our first argument. We say first, and then we say what is our first argument. After we say that, here comes the time for all those details, examples, and all those unnecessary things. So we start to say, all right, I love when I have access to the internet from a cafe shop or from blah, 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 somewhere else. I love to go to the internet to chat with my friends or to ask a professor about homework, blah, blah, blah. For example, when I was a student last year, it was very blah, blah, blah. So here you say a lot of things, details, examples, all you can ever think of. And it's entirely your improvisation. So you don't have time to think about it before you start speaking, you're improvising. But this is something that is not too valuable. The most valuable parts are your introduction, your first topic sentences of argument number 1 and argument number 2, and your conclusion. Details and examples are important if they are there. So they're checking, okay, he gave some examples, okay, he gave some details. But what you're saying there, it's not that important. So it's okay to improvise. If you're improvising, it's fine. Just the main thing here to do is to say something, is to say some details. So it's okay to improvise here. Just make sure that you're saying first and say your first argument, and then just say whatever comes to your mind. Next, we're moving to argument number 2, and we say second, and after that we name our argument number 2. Second, I love my laptop because I can carry it around all the time. And then again, it comes to the details, examples, and everything you can think of, your improvisation. So you can say, all right, it's so cool to take my laptop to my country house and just work on there, or I take it to the subway and I work on something in the train, blah, 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 blah. Why it is so great to carry the laptop around. So you say everything that comes to your mind, as long as it is an example or a detail about why you love carrying your laptop around, why you love your argument number 2. So once you're finished with all those details, it's time to move to a conclusion. And you say the phrase which we are going to memorize by heart again. So you're going to learn it, and every time you're coming to a conclusion, you're going to say it. You're saying, to sum up, that's why I believe that. And after this phrase, you say your thesis again. To sum up, that's why I believe that a laptop is my favorite technology as a student. So these are the cliches that you need to use for all your speaking number one. Just learn it by heart. Don't make your life too complicated. Just learn it, and every time you have speaking number one, just use these phrases. And so you see that you need to only put something in the blanks. In the first blank here, you need to put the phrase from your question. Here you need to put your thesis. In this blank, you need to put your argument number one. It's on your page, right? And in this blank, you need to put your argument number two. It's also on your page. So here and here we put the thesis statements, and here we put our arguments, okay? And here we just rephrase the question. If you ask me about my favorite technology, so you take it from the question. So you see, many things are just in your head. Many of those things are on your notes because you managed during 15 seconds to write down laptop, internet, and textbooks. Yeah, there were textbooks. So you already wrote them, so you have everything to put in the blanks. You already have the laptop, you put it in two blanks. You already have your two arguments, internet and textbooks. You put it in these two blanks. So here you take apart from the question. So this way, just using your memory and using what you have on your paper and on your screen, you already have 5 sentences of your speech. The only thing that you don't have anywhere yet are the examples and details. Here, you will need to improvise, and I will show you how to do it, okay? Another important thing is timing. Actually, it's the most important thing probably. You need to memorize those cliches, but also you need to tell them within very limited time frames. So we're going to talk now about the time frames. It's very important. So these are the time frames. For the introduction, you need to spend 5 to 7 seconds. So you will have a watch, of course, a timer during your speech. And if you see that it's been already 5 seconds, you need to finish your introduction. You only have 2 seconds to go to finish it, right? So sometimes it happens that people, when they are saying introduction, start to say it slowly. Because they think that if they spend some time telling about the introduction, if you ask me about, I would choose, then they have some time to think about the improvisation later, right? So they want to start very slowly so that they have some time to think in advance. But to be honest, it doesn't work. It doesn't work this way. Because, first of all, if you say the introduction very slowly, unfortunately, you still cannot think about improvising next. It just doesn't work this way. If you're saying an introduction slowly, you're still very stressed and you're not probably going to just have a plan by the end of the introduction about what you're going to improvise, right? About the details and examples. You're focusing on one goal to say your introduction, and then your brain is just too stressed to think and plan everything in advance at this moment. So the other problem about it is that if you're saying an introduction slowly, it very much slows you down later. Because introduction is something we learned by heart. Introduction, if you ask me about, I would choose, is something that you need to memorize very strictly right now, and then you already have it in your memory. You don't have to think. So the problem here is that if we start saying, if you ask me about, I would choose slowly, then by the time that you go to argument number one, where you need to improvise, you will just stop. You will just be too slow because it's natural. When we have something memorized, we say it with no problem. But when we have to improvise, we slow down because we have to think more. And so if you're really slow in the introduction, by the time you're naturally slowing down to improvise, you will just stop there because there's just too slow. So the key of success here is during the introduction, say the phrase really quickly. Don't waste time trying to say it slowly in hopes of trying to make up some plan for your future details and examples. It doesn't work this way. And also, don't try to say it slowly, because by the time you go to argument number one, you're gonna just slow down completely and just stop there. So in order to avoid all those problems, say, if you ask me about, I would choose really quickly. You have it in your mind, it's an easy sentence, you already remembered it, so just say it quickly. Say it within those 5 seconds. It's better to say it within 5 seconds, not 7. So say it quickly, and then it's natural that after you say something which you memorized, then by the time you go to argument number one, you're going to slow down. You're going to slow down because there's going to be an improvisation. But it's all right if you're slowed down because you were already super fast. So when you slow down by the argument number one, you're just gonna go to your regular speed of speech. So it's okay. just say, if you ask me about, I would choose pretty quickly. This is my advice. I think it will help you a lot. So we are trying to say an introduction within 5 or 7 seconds. Then it comes to our argument number 1. We say the topic sentence. First, I love my laptop because it gives me access to the internet. And then we start saying all those details and examples. For example, I love to access the internet because, and blah, blah, blah. Internet helps me with that, and I can easily access it from anywhere, blah, 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 blah. So all those examples and details and everything you're saying there, you have to finish all of that by the 20th, maximum 23rd second. So I'm giving you this time frame here from 20th to 23rd second because I want you to just finish a sentence, right? If there's already a 20th second and then you have 5 words to finish, then I want you to have a couple of seconds to finish that sentence. But actually, if you're having some troubles with the details, for example, your improvisation just didn't go well, you can't think of any example, can't think of any detail, you're stuck there, and you see that it's already the 20th second or like 22nd second, then just give it up. It's okay, because the details and examples are the least important things in your speech and your speaking number 1. So if there's something wrong going on, just give it up. Just forget about it. Just move to argument number 2. You have another chance to make your speech brilliant. If you're stuck there, you're gonna miss the argument number 2, and then you're gonna miss the conclusion. You're gonna be out of time. It's much worse than just some problem with some details in argument number 1. So if you see that the time is over, it's already been 20 seconds, give it up. It's okay. Whatever. Just move to argument number 2, say second, start over, it's fine, okay? So if you see that it's been second number 20 or second number 23 or something in between, stop there. Stop your argument number 1, stop your details and examples, and move to argument number 2. So then it's been 20 seconds, we're already on our argument number 2. We say second, I love my laptop because I can download my textbooks in it. And then we start again saying all those details and examples and everything that comes to our mind. We start to improvise, and we need to be done with all those examples, with all those explanations, details by the 40th second. Okay, we see that it's been 40 seconds. Just give it up there. It's very important for you to have those 5 seconds at the end to say your conclusion. Because if you don't have a conclusion, then you're going to miss a lot of points. It's not going to be a good response. So pay attention to the time. If you see that it's been 40 seconds already, give it up and go to the conclusion. And so you should say the conclusion from the 40th till the 45th second. You have 5 seconds to just say, to sum up, that's why I believe that a laptop is my favorite technology. It's a pretty short sentence, so 5 seconds is a lot of time to say it, and it's in your memory, so it's fine. Just practice, 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 so it's really in your memory very well. So I wake you up at night and I'm like, say the cliche for the conclusion. And you're like, to sum up, that's what I believe. And you go back to sleep, okay? So this is the level of which you should memorize those phrases. You should remember it anytime. Once you see that it's the 40th second, it's very stressful, but you should be able, in any kind of stress, just say it really fast. To sum up, that's why I believe that, blah, 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 okay? So practice those phrases, remember them by heart today, and then also pay attention to all these seconds. And now I'm going to try to do it myself. So again, these are the sources that I have in front of me before I start speaking. I have my notes and I only have 3 words: laptop, internet, and textbooks. And I'm going to put these words in my cliches. I also have a question in front of me. It's still on my screen. Describe changes in technology that have affected your life and explain the effect they had on you as a student. I can look at this question if I need to. I also have these cliches. They are very well in my memory, okay? So I know that the laptop, this word will go here, then internet will go here, the textbooks will go here, and then the laptop will go here again. And then in this blank, I will put something from the question, okay? Some words from the question. So I'm going to try to say it now. I'm not going to tell you something that I learned by heart, like my response is not something I trained for a long time, and I'm not going to read you the script. So it's my improvisation because I want to show you how it's done. So it's possible. It's possible just to have these 3 resources. This is exactly what I'm having now. I don't have any other resources. I only have these notes, which we prepared with you together. I have this question in front of me, and I have these phrases, which I learned by heart, but they're still on the screen, but I know them very well. So these are the 3 resources that I have before I start my answer. And so I am going to pay a lot of attention to the clock. I'm going to see if it's been 5 seconds, 20 seconds, 40 seconds. I'm going to pay a lot of attention, and I'm going to adjust my response so that it is within the time frame. So it is going to be an improvisation. It's going to be my first try. I'm not going to just make it better and better and better and do more and more videos. I'm going to do it naturally so that you see my natural speech. Of course, it's going to have some minor mistakes, I think so, but it's going to be a very good response, which you can relate to. So I'm going to try. You're going to be my witness how it's going to work, and you can also try it yourself if you want to after you listen to my example. Okay, let's try. Whew. Let's go. If you ask me about my favorite technology as a student, I would choose a laptop. First, I love my laptop because it gives me constant access to the internet. With this help, I can easily email my professors or email any of my classmates and ask about the homework, for example, or I can search for any information that I need for my studies. Second, I love my laptop because I can easily just download all the textbooks that I need, and so that I don't need to actually carry all those heavy textbooks when I need to use them. So I can just open all my textbooks on my laptop, use them for my homework, for my projects, etc. And so I actually save a lot of energy for my studies. To sum up, this is why I believe that a laptop is my favorite technology as a student. Alright, so this is an example of a response. Of course, it had some minor mistakes, but overall it was a good response. So you can relate to it and you can try yourself. You can take your phone. Of course, look at the watch while you're trying it yourself. You can record yourself, but always have the timer. From now on, when we are practicing speaking, any kind of speaking, we always have to have the clock with us. So the phone with your timer, you have to always look at the clock, because those seconds are extremely important. You have to know them by heart. You have to know what is 5 seconds, what is 45 seconds, what is 20 seconds, how many seconds do I have, what am I able to say within such a short time frame. So you need to learn all those things. So every time you practice, always practice with the clock. So you can practice with yourself with this question, with those notes, with this question, with those cliches. Always have the time, and you can try it yourself. And of course, probably from my answer, you noticed how I was constantly looking at the clock, and when I saw, okay, it's like 5 seconds, it's 20 seconds, it's 40 seconds, I was constantly changing to my new goal, to my new argument, or to my conclusion. So you need, of course, to do the same thing. You need to always look at the clock and then say all those phrases yourself within this time frame. Okay, so your homework today after this video is to learn by heart these phrases, and then also to learn by heart what are the time frames for each of the phrases. So pay attention to time all the time. 5 seconds, 20 seconds, 40 seconds are our key seconds. And also memorize these words and then practice. If you're memorizing the words, if you're practicing on time, it's not going to be any problem for you to do speaking number 1. Thanks for watching.